Sexual assault on America's college campuses is shocking, happening more frequently than many would hope. A recent national representative survey says 1 in 5 women are sexually assaulted in college, while only 12% of victims report their cases. But what's more alarming to some activists is knowing these numbers haven't changed in nearly 20 years, drawing many people to realize that something has to change.
Basically, we're coming together with one goal, and the one goal is for faculty, staff, students, administrators, and that's the elimination of sexual violence on our campus and beyond. I mean, there is no other side.
DePaul University's Vice President of Student Affairs, Cynthia Summers, has been working with students and administrators to seek new outlets for sexual violence prevention on campus and creating opportunities for a safer student environment. Though the increase in attention to the issue may be later than many had hoped for, Summers says every bit of awareness helps.
Anything that helps is a good thing. If it's going to shine a light, the thing I want to challenge is shine a light towards improvement, as opposed to shining a light on you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong, you're doing this wrong. That's all education, and that needs to be a part of our assessments about best practice. But the idea also is, where is the investment in improvement and enhancements?
As a government, as a nation, we have the capacity to stop sexual assault, support those who've survived it, and bring perpetrators to justice.
Such investment in improvements has been made a priority by the White House and the Obama administration in recent weeks. The White House Task Force to Protect Students from Sexual Assault released its first report in April, highlighting a series of actions to help address the problem and make sure victims know they are not alone.
We need to send a message to victims everywhere. We're here for you. It's not your fault. You're not alone.
In an effort to increase communication with survivors, school officials, and the public, the government launched a new website called notalone.gov, where students can learn about their rights and how to file a complaint. Schools and advocates can also find federal guidance on legal obligations and relevant legislation. Though understanding where the problem stems and how it happens is important, some educators say the conversation needs to start at the survivors and realizing the traumatic event that is sexual assault.
Like really get into the experience of what it's like to be someone who experiences sexual assault while they're a student at the university, and the way that the world, their whole life gets shifted and is deeply impacted. And I think the conversation should start there.
To spread awareness and further the discussion of finding a solution, the Government Task Force is conducting a series of listening sessions with survivors, educators, and students, and hopes a new public service announcement with appearances from the President, Vice President, and several male actors will gain public notice.
If I saw it happening, I'd never blame her. I'd help her.
But some still question these efforts and whether or not they will make a difference.
I think the goal of the PSAs were good, but using celebrity power to kind of bring this issue to light is another thing that can be looked at better.
DePaul University senior and sexual assault survivor Cassie Vaughn says she has found advocating for sexual violence prevention to be a healthy way to cope with her experience.
So I've been a director for Vagina Monologues, which is it's a social awareness theater extravaganza, I guess you call, about sexual assault. And so working with the women in that cast, many of them do come to that community because they are survivors. Like I myself, I'm a survivor too, and so it's difficult when you see some of your friends going through what you've experienced and whatnot. But as tough as it is to hear more about cases and how prevalent it is, the more we all want to come together and kind of act on that.
Vaughn has been fortunate to have a strong support system on campus, but she says her peers haven't been so lucky.
Unfortunately, it's one of my best friends was sexually assaulted on her campus and had the police involved and had like a legal lawsuit, and the school and her friends really just turned on her in the last second.
To enforce a university's obligation to federal law, the Education Department released a list of 55 schools who are being investigated for failing to properly report sexual violence and harassment complaints. Students across the nation are protesting, saying their colleges and universities are breaking the rules. Colleges and universities of all kinds appeared on the list, including big public universities like Ohio State, Ivy League schools like Harvard and Princeton, and schools in between like the University of Chicago. Some say these investigations are a step in the right direction, as many universities are afraid to admit the problem exists on their campus.
Like a lot of universities are afraid of making it a prominent issue because they're afraid that people won't go to the school. Because if you say sexual assault happens on your campus, then you're going to lose money or you're going to lose students. Or rather than thinking if we make this issue prominent, it'll show that we really care about the issue and that we're trying to address it.
Others say the argument comes from the issue of diversity in on-campus police departments. President of the Student Government Association at DePaul University, Matthew Van Nyda, says more female officers would encourage a comfortable environment for victims to report their cases.
But the student conversation has been asking for more diversity. Part of the issue is equal employment. You can't ask for somebody to be openly gay and take on these roles, and you can't ask them to be to look at hiring somebody specifically for their gender, for their race, for their sex, etc. So that's difficult, but I think that it will be important for the university to look into having diverse staff and everything, and I think that we have been doing that, but everything can be enhanced.
Despite the current attraction and attempts to create regulations and suggestions to curb the problem, the fact of the matter is sexual assault on college campuses must come to an end, and many believe nothing will satisfy until it does.
Like I said, one is too many. The goal continues to be the elimination of sexual violence on our campus and beyond.
Only time will tell whether the epidemic will be eliminated, but one thing's for sure.
Everywhere, wherever we go, yes means yes and no means no.
For Good Day DePaul, I'm Cheyenne Bowers.